what happens if we run it back once again with the core four? I wanted to make a team that we did not move any of the big guys out. I've already made a team where we moved out Marner. I made a team that we moved out Tavares. I made a team where we moved out both of them. You can go check out my prior videos. But today, what happens if we keep all of them? All four of the guys have a full no movement clause, so this is possible. I do believe one of them gets moved, probably Mitch Marner, but there is a chance, I would say 25%, 35%, something on those lines, chance that we have to run the same team back, at least with those core guys going forward. The positives, they're all phenomenal players. Let's be honest here. Marner, Tavares, Matthews, Nylander, all amazing players. But when you have all four of those guys making whatever it is, going to be $50 million, I don't even know what it is at this point. Too much. So one of those guys preferably needs to get moved out so we can upgrade the rest of our roster, preferably defense. So this team here, let's take a look at it. Cap friendly. Let's give a little rest in peace to Cap friendly. It looks like the Washington Capitals have actually purchased the Cap friendly site and are going to be taking it offline at some point in July. And we, as public, will not have access to it anymore, which is really sad because I'm on the site all the time and I really enjoy it. Darn. If you're enjoying the content, drop a like, subscribe. I'll be posting a video every single Saturday. So let's get into it. I only made one specific trade in this video, and it was more or less to get off of David Kamp's and Timothy Liljegren's cap. And I traded them off to Ottawa. I think Ottawa can use a little bit of help on the right side, and I believe they need some defensive help in their bottom six. So that's why I think they're a good fit. I took a second-round pick back, and that's actually a pretty high second-round pick. Maybe the valuation is off. I'm happy if we keep David Kampf. I'm happy if we keep Liljegren as well. But in this scenario, I moved them off because we need the cap space elsewhere. That's the only trade that I made here. Everybody else is the same. I sent Ryan Reeves down to the minors, so we have a $200,000 cap penalty. The rest of it's the same. So let me scroll down here, and we'll go through the roster. Top line of Mitch Marner, Matthews, Nyes. Really like that grouping. Tavares, Nylander, and Easton Cowan. I put Easton Cowan, Fraser Minten, and Topi Niemela on this roster, but there are 23 guys. So all three of those guys, the odds of all three making it are slim, but I put them on the roster for depth options just to show what it could possibly look like. You remove one of those guys or two of those guys and you can throw other people in. I just wanted to put them in there as like best case scenario. So Easton Cowan, Tavares, Nylander, I would be pretty excited about that line too. The third line is a line that we saw briefly throughout the year, but I would have loved to see more, which is Bobby McMann, Max Domi at center, and Nicholas Robertson. I actually really like that line. Bobby McMann, hardworking, he's quick, he's big. Domi's feisty, he's a playmaker. Robertson never stops working. He's on the smaller side, but he has a great shot. I would love to see him get more opportunity, and I think he will with a new coach. And the fourth line of Connor Dewar, Holmberg, and Yarncroke. Those guys can all be moved up and down. Smaller fourth line. Not much physicality, not much size there. That's a negative here. But they're all good players. Let's be honest here. Yarncroke has been so good for us since he's been on the team. Dewar was a really good pickup. Holmberg's been playing okay. And then I put Fraser Minten as a spare. Fraser Minten's a big body. Still young. He's probably going to be in the minors. But I put him in here anyways. It looks like the cap will be $88 million, and we're just over the cap with the 23-man roster, 322,000 over with this roster. But realistically, we're going to be running 21 or 22 anyways, 21 or 22-man roster anyway, so it's not a big deal. I just want to put the depth. On defense, Morgan Rielly, and I signed Chris Tanev to a 2-year, $4.5 million deal. Super gritty. Not physical, but he can clear the front of the net. He blocks shots. He's super defensive. I really think he would be a good complement to Morgan Rielly. The lower option here, I would have liked to get maybe like a Roy or a Pesci, something on those lines. A little bit younger, a little bit more upside, but the cap just wasn't allowing for it really with keeping the core four. Second pair was McCabe and Walker. Walker's on a bit of a smaller side, but he's good defensively. He's very hardworking, and he has some upside on the offensive side of things. He got 10 goals this year, including the playoffs. I'm not too sure how many he had in the playoffs, but overall, we need more puck moving and more offense from our defense, and I think Walker would be a great option. I re-signed Edmondson. I think Walker I signed for 5 years. Let me double check. Yeah, Walker I signed for 5 years. I extended Edmondson for 2 years, $2.5 million. I have no idea how much Edmondson's going to get. I think he's going to get less than his current contract, which was $3.5 million. So 2 years, $2.5 million. I know the Leafs have been talking, or it's been rumored that they've been very interested in bringing him back. I like him, but then that kind of pushes Benoit out of the lineup potentially. And I really like Benoit. I think they're interchangeable. They're both big bodies. They both work hard. They're both physical. Benoit's younger. They both have no offense to speak, so to speak of. And then the last two spots on the defense, I put Topi Niemela. He has that offensive upside. And then there's Connor Timmins in here as well. So 8 guys on defense. So Morgan Rielly, offensive lefty. Tanev, defensive defenseman. The second pair of McCabe and Walker, they're both two-way guys. Edmondson's straight defensive. Topi Niemela's offensive. Benoit's defensive. Timmins is offensive. So that's kind of how I made the pairings. I know a lot of people get mad at me when they see Benoit on on a fourth pairing, but he's going to be playing 60-plus games. He's going to be a mainstay for the most part. Injuries happen. I was just making it what the potential lines could be. Let's be honest here. Benoit and McCabe were a great pairing in the playoffs and entering into the playoffs, so that could definitely re-happen again. I just wanted to go with 4 lefties, 4 righties, and McCabe's a left shot, so I would like to get him back on the left side. In net, we have Joseph Woll and Laurent Brossoit from Winnipeg. I signed him for 2 years, $2.8 million for the contract. Not too sure exactly what he's going to get. I think he's been playing anywhere between 24, 27 games over the past few years. Either him or like a Stolarz, I think would be a good option. For 2 years, something on those lines. I wouldn't want to give him the third year, which might be necessary. But one of those guys just to fill in as a stopgap to help complement Woll. In this scenario, I also extended Martin Jones for 1 year and $1.1 million and sent him down to the minors. I really like Jones and his attitude. He played well for the Leafs. Having him as a third-string goalie would be great. And, of course, we have Hildeby down there as well. So, overall, this team still has the potential to be good. I just wish... The problem with this scenario, let me say that, we don't get Bertuzzi back, and I really like Bertuzzi. So it forces us to play one of the younger guys like a Cowan or a Minton. At least it really increases the odds of that happening, and I want them to make sure that they're ready. So maybe it's best to keep them down. And then defense, we're missing, I really want a top pair at right D. If I really want Hronek from Vancouver, we would need to trade for him. Or like a guy like Roy out of LA. One of those guys or both of those guys would be so great to have. And we don't get that here. Tanev is a good option, but he's more of like a second pair defenseman. Walker's a solid player as well, but he's a number 4 guy as well. So Morgan Rielly, let's call him a number 2. Tanev's a number 4. McCabe's a number 4. Walker's a number 4. Maybe McCabe's a number 3. So it's okay. But it's not optimal. I would really hope that they trade one of the big guys, preferably either Tavares or Marner, to really free up that cap space to improve that defense. But we'll see how it plays out. Of course, I really like John Tavares. I really like Mitch Marner. I like William Nylander, and I love Austin Matthews. He ain't going anywhere, that's for sure. So if we get them all back, it is what it is. But over the past 2 seasons, off seasons, I was saying that they should trade Mitch Marner. I was getting roasted for it, but I was like, we have 3 guys making $33 million. We need to change that. And Mitch Marner was the only real option of getting rid of. Nylander was only making $7 million at the time, so may as well keep him. But turning Marner into another $6 million player and then a $5 million player really makes a difference. But we kept him. Here it is, and let's be honest here, I love Mitch Marner. He's a hometown boy. I would love to see a redemptive arc for this team next year and for these guys. They deserve it. But we'll see what happens. I'm putting this as the 25% chance. I think one of them gets traded, and I think the highest probability is Mitch Marner. I would put that as like a 40% chance. If both of them get traded, I think that's a really low chance. But I want to play around with it. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment about this team. I think this is about as good as we could get if we keep them. But what are your thoughts on the signings? What are your thoughts on this team? How are you in life? Let me know in the comments. I love you guys so very much. Brian, the Leafs guy, out until next Saturday.